Some...
Yes, the Hollywood blockbuster where you just saw there the opening part of Top Gun Maverick. Of course, possibly one of the last major tentpole movies that came out and actually succeeded, because Hollywood, an institution that has been around for decades, longer than even half of us have been born, has found itself in such a dark and horrible place that it doesn't seem to be able to get itself out of. And one of the issues that I have right now is they're absolutely lying to themselves and you, the viewer, the customer, the paying customer, the fan base. And this is a big, big lie that they keep telling themselves. What is the lie? Well, it's simple. It's that they aren't doing no wrong. We are just not smart enough to understand what they're trying to tell us. Now, when you think back to all the other blockbusters and what movies really were and how they were made and what they represented, they just represented escapism. They took us to different worlds, they took us to different parts of the world, our own world that is. They gave us heroes that could fly, heroes that were just sitting behind a desk who every now and again had to go out and fight crime, but did it with respect and honor and all that type of stuff. Whereas now, the heroes that are presenting to you want adulation. They want to be recognized. They want to be held up on pedestals. And they don't have to go through any struggles. Now, let me ask you a question. Out of the last decade of movies that have come out, can you even repeat a line of dialogue? Is there any quotes from movies over the last 10 years that you are quoting on a daily basis? Everyday life, you see it come up. Is there any quote that can come out from a movie, any line from the past 10 years that makes you go, that was that movie, you know it instantly? No? Well, I'm not surprised, because they really don't exist anymore. We grew up with those type of moments. We have those most iconic lines that we use in our daily lives every day. We recognize when we hear it. We instantly know the movie. Lines like these.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
So be it, Jedi.
Get away from her, you bitch!
We better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Sylvia Trench. I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
I'll be back.
Yeah, and where are those type of lines nowadays? They're non-existent, because every piece of entertainment they are putting out, number one, isn't entertaining us, but number two, more importantly, they are just not memorable pieces of entertainment. They put out all these Marvel shows, movies, you name it, we barely remember them by the time we leave the theaters. They put out all these other low budget movies that, yeah, we were never always drawn to, but you were still interested in a lot of them. But nowadays, you're not, because it's like, oh, it's just a movie pointing the finger and saying, you're far right, and this movie tells you why. All of this stuff is just falling to pieces. And this big lie that Hollywood still to this day is telling themselves is, well, no, our movies aren't failing. We're not losing hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars every year. We're not in debt of billions of dollars every year because our movies that we're putting out are political messages that they're telling the audience, you have to vote and think our way, otherwise you're not welcome here. It's not about masculinity anymore, it's about women in power. The irony is they're making the men feminine, but they're making the women masculine. It's gone so far, but they're not accepting that what they're doing doesn't work, that nobody wants it, and they are destroying themselves. Instead, their argument is purely, no, it's the fans, it's the audience, it's the paying customer. They just don't understand what we're trying to tell them. They don't understand that their way of thinking is the wrong way of thinking. That no, they don't need to see superheroes be the hero. They need to see themselves in that hero. And it's like, but we all have flaws, and you're presenting these heroes that you're trying to say must represent us, we must be able to see ourselves in, without any flaws. So Hollywood, until it actually figures out that it's lying to itself, that it's lying to its audience, its customers, that it's lying to its investors and its business associates, that they are the problem, not the audience, nothing is going to get fixed anytime soon. And that is going to be a massive issue, because how much money can they realistically keep pumping into these franchises, into these movies, and fail? They can't. But the problem is, rather than them taking the responsibility and saying, okay, that was wrong, we screwed up there, we need to change, no, they're going, okay, we want to keep telling our messaging, but what we have to do now is we have to get other investors to give us the money. We can't spend our own because we don't have it, basically. Look at Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers right now is something like $53 billion in debt. Their whole system has just been downgraded to junk, basically. Paramount has failed that badly, even though it's got some hits out there on the big screen and small screen. It still struggles to the point that it now has to merge with Skydance. Fox, whatever you want to think about Fox, had some of the best movies I think we've all ever seen, and it ended up going so way wary that Disney were able to come in and purchase it. And we're seeing so many other studios fail. But again, they're failing because they are writing garbage, they are producing garbage, but then they're blaming the audience, the paying customer. They're not actually sitting in any rooms anymore looking at each other going, what do you think went wrong there? They're not looking at each other going, we went wrong. We should never have made that. We screwed up, and we screwed up big time. We should have stuck with what we knew and what we know best. And that's just to make fun entertainment, make people be able to turn their brains off for a while. Instead, they're going, what do you think went wrong there? And they went, hey, the audience are just racist, bigot, far-right morons who didn't understand what we were trying to say. And it's like, you can't keep doing that. Otherwise, it's all gonna collapse and fail. There's a reason YouTube is the most watched thing on television nowadays. There's a reason gaming overtook the Hollywood experience. There's a reason streaming, as it is, has taken over from the theater experience. It's because Hollywood doesn't understand what's going wrong, because they're lying to themselves, and more importantly, they're lying to all of us each and every time it all goes wrong. So until they can figure it out, until they can see the error of their ways and stop doubling down on all the messaging and all that stuff, and really just get back to basics, looking at the likes of Tom Cruise hanging off planes and then going to theaters to thank the audience for even showing up. As soon as they get back to that, they will start winning again. But until that happens, they're just going to be looking at year in, year out profit loss and money down the drain, and they're not going to constantly be able to point their finger at us and say, you're the reason it's not working. It's time to wake up, Hollywood, and you better do it quickly. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Hasta la vista, baby.